Good morning, everyone. Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. I hope you all enjoyed that. That was actually a time lapse this morning of this amazing plant called Blew My Mind XL Evolvulus, also known as dwarf morning glory. And I have planted morning glories in my garden in prior years and loved them. I loved how they would pop open in the morning and say good morning and welcome to the day. I thought they were so fantastic, and Blew My Mind XL will do the exact same thing. I am so excited about this plant. This is one of the heat tolerant plants that I will be trying out in my garden this year from proven winners. I live in Northern California, zone 9B, and we have hot, dry, and long summers here. And during the dog days of summer where we've had days on end over 100 degrees, a lot of my plants will start to show signs of stress, and they will actually start to slow down their blooming. The plants will put all their energy into just surviving. Now, bring Blew My Mind Evolvulus into the mix, this plant will do exactly the opposite. The hotter, the better, the more these blooms will shine. So in the middle of summer, the dog days of summer, where we're hot and we're spending every moment in the pool, this plant is going to be going crazy, and I'm so excited to see it this year. So this plant will get about 4 to 8 inches tall, and it'll spread about 16 to 20 inches wide. So it is a big plant. Proven Winners has another Evolvulus called Blew My Mind, the OG, the original. It's just called Blew My Mind, which is a fantastic plant in itself. It's really great in containers and combinations. However, the original Blew My Mind sometimes didn't stand up to more vigorous combinations, and that's where Blew My Mind XL comes in. Blew My Mind XL will stand up to more vigorous plants and do great in the landscape. So one of the most fantastic things about Blew My Mind XL is the color. It is a true blue flower, and I even wore my blue hat just so you guys can see it's not a purpley blue, it's actually a blue. And you have to remember, blues and purples have a cooling effect. So when this flower is in full bloom in the heat of summer, it's going to make the area that it's in actually feel cooler, which is exactly what you want, you know, when it's hot and humid and all you want to do is cool off. This is going to help you feel like the garden is a little bit cooler. Blew My Mind XL is heat tolerant, humidity tolerant, and it's also drought tolerant once you get it established. When you first plant this plant, you want to make sure that you do water it regularly so it can get its roots established, but after that it's pretty drought tolerant, which is fantastic. So deadheading is not necessary, and once you plant this plant, it's gonna bloom until frost. So you guys, this plant is so not fussy. It's a beautiful color, and it's gonna bloom when a lot of other flowers are struggling with the heat. I am so excited to get this plant in my garden. So let me show you guys where I am planning to plant Evolvulus Blew My Mind XL. So we're here in my backyard right by my pool, which is obviously where we're going to be spending most of our time during the summer. And that is why I thought having the Blew My Mind XL that blooms the best in the heat, it would be perfect to be close by the pool where we're going to be hanging out. And that is why I want to plant them at the base of these 3 white pots that I just potted up. So in these pots, I have Sun Credible Yellow Sunflowers for the thriller. I have Augusta Lavender Heliotrope for the filler, and then I have Supertunia Mini Vista Pink Star for the spiller. And this plant is going crazy. I only planted these pots up maybe a week ago, and oh my goodness, I'll see if I can do a before and after so you guys can see in just a week how much they're going. And I already have buds for my sunflowers, and so I think these pots are going to be gorgeous. What I do want to do is I want to kind of soften the area up. We used to have landscape rock as our like mulch here, and I didn't like it. It was too hot, it was too harsh. So we took all that out earlier this year and we put in this black mulch, which obviously softened the area up a little bit more, but you can see we do have, you know, kind of leaves and bracts from the bougainvillea, but that's okay. I think that planting the Blew My Mind XL at the base of each of these pots is really going to soften the the area, make it look a lot more lush. And then the blue color is really just going to cool everything down, which is so needed and welcomed here, especially during the summer. So I am going to connect each of these Bloom My Minds to drip. I have a 1/2 inch tube coming down the back of these pots because all of these pots are attached to drip. And I think I'm just going to do a 1/2 gallon per hour emitter to each one of the Bloom My Minds. And I think that it will be really happy with that. It is a drought tolerant plant. However, it does bloom better when you give it regular water. I have water right there, so I might as well do it. All right, so let's get started with this. It should be pretty easy, just a couple plants, and then I am going to use the premium continuous release fertilizer in each planting hole that I have for these plants. All done. I've got them all in, all attached to drip. I planted each one of them with the premium continuous release fertilizer, and I even put a layer of new mulch and washed it off. I'm so proud of myself. Let me show you guys what I did. All right, so here they are. They don't look like much right now, but I have a feeling as we get hotter, they're gonna really start to get big and blooming. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when I was attaching them to drip, I found that I was having a ton of leaks. So we put another line of drip here because I wanted, like just 2 times a week watering and then another zone on full-time watering. So I have 2 hoses running back behind there. And I had plugged with the goof plugs a whole bunch of the original 1/2 inch tube and all of it was leaking. So my bougainvillea was getting way more water than I thought it was. So I was fixing all those leaks as well as connecting these to the new drip line that runs basically every day during the summer. I'll kind of change it to every other day, every day, depending on the weather and how hot it is and everything like that. So I actually think, I know this is more water for the bougainvillea, but I actually think it's going to be less water, which is crazy, but that's how many leaks I had. It was ridiculous. And I got about halfway through and then I thought, man, I should have just taken the whole thing out and restarted it all. And I will probably do that before the season is over. But I just want to get these in and done and starting to grow. So doesn't it look gorgeous? I am so happy with it. And I think it is just going to soften this whole area up as they start growing. So I am very eager to see how Evolvulus Bloom My Mind XL does in my little microclimate that I have here on the south side of my house where it is very, very hot. I actually have really high hopes for it just because it loves heat and humidity so much. So Bloom My Mind XL is hardy down to zone 9A, so that makes it a perennial for me, very exciting. And it does not need as much fertilizer as, say, a Supertunia. However, if you leave it on the same fertilizing schedule that you have the rest of your annuals on, like your Supertunias, it's not going to hurt it. The extra fertilizer is not going to hurt it. So that is my plan. I'm just going to treat this annual like all my other annuals, and I'm going to fertilize it every week on Monday with my water-soluble fertilizer. So if you live in a hot zone like I do, I think this plant is going to do fantastic for you all, especially if you live in humidity. It's going to love that. If you live in a cooler zone, but you have hot and humid summers, I actually think this plant will do great as well because it's going to love your summers. It's going to bloom like crazy in the heat, and it's going to bloom from the second you put it in the ground or your container all the way through frost. And that is why I wanted to do a spotlight video on Evolvulus Blew My Mind XL. So I hope you all enjoyed this. If you did, please consider subscribing, and I hope you all have a chance to get into your garden today.